Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into how Deceptocrats exploit tragedies for their own gain, using them as opportunities to push agendas and manipulate public perception. We will start with the George Floyd incident and the rise of Black Lives Matter, exposing how it was a huge money grab rather than a movement genuinely for the Black community. We will then explore 9 more examples of such exploitation and how these actions fuel chaos while deflecting blame onto figures like Donald Trump. 1. The George Floyd incident and Black Lives Matter. The George Floyd tragedy was exploited for financial gain. The rise of BLM pro-hate. The Black Lives Matter movement quickly became a massive fundraising machine. But where did the money go? Example, reports and investigations have shown that a significant portion of the funds raised by BLM did not go to supporting Black communities but rather to the founders and their associates. Exploitation and deception. Pro-hate. The movement capitalized on genuine grievances to funnel money into questionable ventures. Example, BLM leaders were found purchasing luxury properties, raising questions about the true intentions behind the movement. 2. COVID-19 pandemic response. Exploiting the pandemic to push political agendas and control, lockdowns and power grabs. Pro-hate, using the pandemic as a pretext to enforce strict lockdowns and expand governmental power. Example, prolonged lockdowns that destroyed small businesses while large corporations thrived, highlighting selective enforcement of restrictions. Financial manipulations. Pro-hate, massive spending bills under the guise of pandemic relief, funneling money to special interests. Example, billions allocated to projects unrelated to pandemic relief, such as funding for pet projects and political allies. 3. Climate change alarmism. Using climate change as a tool for political and financial gain. Green energy scams. Pro-hate, promoting green energy initiatives that primarily benefit political donors and allies. Example, Solyndra scandal, where a solar panel company received massive government loans and then went bankrupt, with little accountability. Regulatory overreach. Pro-hate, implementing draconian environmental regulations that stifle economic growth. Example, stricter emissions regulations that disproportionately affect small businesses and the working class. 4. Gun control narratives. Exploiting mass shootings to push for gun control measures. Disarming citizens. Pro-hate, using tragedies to advocate for stricter gun laws that undermine the Second Amendment. Example, pushing for bans on certain firearms and magazine capacities without addressing the root causes of gun violence. Selective outrage. Pro-hate, highlighting certain incidents while ignoring others that don't fit the narrative. Example, media coverage focused on shootings that can be politicized while ignoring gang violence and shootings in strict gun law states. 5. Immigration crisis. Using the immigration issue to manipulate public sentiment and gain votes. Border chaos. Pro-hate, creating crises at the border to push for open border policies. Example, the sudden surges of migrants at the southern border, often coinciding with political agendas. Exploiting suffering. Pro-hate, using the plight of migrants to score political points. Example, politicians visiting border facilities for photo ops while failing to address the underlying issues. 6. Economic inequality. Using economic disparities to push socialist policies. Class warfare. Pro-hate, pitting different economic classes against each other to promote redistributive policies. Example, promoting tax hikes on the wealthy that often end up impacting the middle class. Misleading narratives. Pro-hate, claiming to champion the poor while enacting policies that benefit the elite. Example, wealthy politicians and donors backing policies that do little to alleviate poverty but enhance their own power. 7. Healthcare reform. Manipulating healthcare issues for political gain. Obamacare. Pro-hate, using the promise of healthcare reform to expand government control. Example, the Affordable Care Act, which led to increased premiums and reduced choices for many Americans. Medicare for all. Pro-hate, promising universal healthcare without addressing the feasibility and cost. Example, proposals that ignore the complexities of funding and implementing such a system. 8. Education system manipulation. Apologetic education for ideological indoctrination. Curriculum changes. Pro-hate, introducing curricula that push specific ideological agendas. Example, the introduction of critical race theory and other divisive content in schools. Teachers' unions. Pro-hate, using unions to block meaningful reforms and maintain control. Example, resistance to school choice and charter schools that offer alternatives to failing public schools. 9. Judicial exploitation. Using the judiciary to push political agendas. Court packing. Pro-hate, attempts to add more justices to the Supreme Court to shift its ideological balance. Example, proposals to expand the Supreme Court following unfavorable rulings. Weaponizing the legal system pro-hate, using the courts to target political opponents. Example, numerous lawsuits and investigations against Donald Trump and his associates, often with little evidence. 10. The January 6th insurrection narrative exposing the Capitol riot to demonize political opponents, selective prosecution pro-hate, targeting individuals involved in the riot while ignoring other political violence. Example, prosecutions and media coverage focusing on the Capitol riot while downplaying or ignoring violent protests and riots elsewhere. Conclusion: the Deceptocrat way is to never let a tragedy go to waste, exploiting every opportunity to push their agendas and manipulate public perception. From the George Floyd incident and Blim to the January 6th insurrection narrative, these examples show a pattern of deception and exploitation. By recognizing these tactics, we can better understand the true motives behind these actions and work towards a more transparent and accountable society. If you found this video insightful, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Unity Scale: Pro-Hate, content that promotes division and hostility. Pro-Unity, content that fosters understanding and cooperation.